What's going on, Giants fans? Back at it with another video. And look, the season is over for the New York Giants. Okay, we got blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles on prime time. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. And I was absolutely one of those people that believed that the Giants could actually go in this game and come out with the victory. I was very confident in this team. And honestly, I don't think that there were many Giants fans that weren't confident in this team, especially knowing what we were going up against and considering the fact that the Giants had a hot hand. Now, I don't think any Giants fan in their right mind can look at this season as a whole and be upset with where this team is at and where this team is going. I have to be honest here. I have full confidence in Joe Shane, Brian Dable, and crew. I have full confidence that this team is headed in the right direction. And I mean, you start off with selecting Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal, two players that were regarded as the best at their position in this draft. And we see with Kayvon Thibodeau, he is looking like he could be potentially one of the top players at his position, when it's all said and done. Evan Neal, you see some promise with him, but he did not have a good year by any stretch of the means. You look at Wandale, you saw some promise there. Hopefully he could bounce back after this ACL. But you also look at some of the little signings that we did throughout the season. You look at Isaiah Hodgins. You look at Fabian Moreau. You look at Jason Pinnock. You look at players like that, and, you say, this team, Landon Collins throw in there. This team, they can find talent. And not only can they find talent, but they can actually go out there and coach them up and get pretty good, if not really good production out of these players. Now, in regards to the Philadelphia Eagles game, I think it showed the gap of where the Giants are compared to where the Philadelphia Eagles are, right? Philly, they're very, very, very deep at the offensive line, at defensive line. They were constantly rotating players in and out. So they were fresh throughout the game. They were getting to the quarterback, and they're a very deep team. You look at all the positions that they have and just everything checks the box, and you got to give a lot of credit to that Philadelphia Eagles team. I mean, despite everything, look, I hate Philly. I hate Philly so much. I don't hate them as much as the Cowboys, but I got to give credit to Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman did what he had to do. And in my opinion, he had the free agent signing of the year in Hassan Reddick, who, let's be honest, is a beast for the Eagles. And hey, this division now, I mean, each team has a solid defense now, and they have that one premier player on each team. And Hassan Reddick is looking like he could be that player for the Eagles. So got to give them their credits there. Jalen Hurts, he looked locked in. We couldn't stop the running game, but I think when you look at this Giants team, we all knew that there's positions of need that really need to be addressed. You have a lot of fans, like myself, that believe we really do need a wide receiver. Whether you take that in the first or the second, you look at free agency. But I also look at this linebacking core, and I say to myself, you look at what the 49ers just did to the Dallas Cowboys, and I wish the Giants could have even half of that linebacking core. That is the kind of linebacking core that I want. Smart, dependable. They could go sideline to sideline. It's amazing to see what good linebacking play is. And that's something that the Giants have neglected for years. For too long, it feels. I mean, seriously, since Antonio Pierce. And we're talking about near a decade at this point. So for me personally, I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited for where this team is headed. Now, the Giants have a lot of tough decisions to make. We have a lot of impending free agents. We have a lot of players that I truly believe that the Giants should bring back. And there's some players that I'm absolutely fine with letting go, and I do believe that the New York Giants, they should keep a player like Isaiah Hodgins, and try to really build up this wide receiver room because that's something that was really evident in this game against Philly. Our wide receivers, we weren't really creating separation. We really weren't, getting out in space. And there was moments where they were able to, a la you look at that play to Richie James and he drops it. That's a walk-in touchdown. If you have a bona fide wide receiver, he makes that play, he walks that into the house. That's points for the New York Giants. But, I just Again, there's players I would bring back, there's players that I would not. But I think that if you look at this team, you have to be happy with the outcome. I mean, Brian Dable, this team has really, really taken on the Brian Dable culture. They've really came in and shown that they bought in. You have players like Saquon Barkley and Leonard Williams saying, I'm willing to take a pay cut, to stay here because this is where they want to be at. And I mean, Brian Dable has really in 1 year did something that no other coaching staff since 2016 has really been able to do. And that's rally the troops and have them believe in the culture that our coaching staff is trying to establish. And you have to give a lot of credit to Brian Dable. Let's be honest. You have to give him a lot of credit. Coming in, I mean, just dealing with the cap mess, and obviously that's Joe Shane's issue, but just dealing with the cap mess of Dave Gettleman, the talent at the positions that hey, look, those are some positions in need. Wide receiver. You look at the depth of the defensive line. You look at the James Bradbury situation. I mean, just I really do believe that year one starts now of the Joe Shane rebuild. We saw a pretty good rolling out party this season. However, a lot of our drafts selections that we had this season were injured. So we're going to hopefully see a couple of them bounce back. But I'm very excited to see what Joe Shane does this offseason. And hey, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about free agency. We're going to be talking about the draft. And this, for me, is one of my favorite, if not my favorite point, in the offseason because it's so much fun to see what this team needs, what players are going to be out there, and what players fit this system. I'm very excited to see what this defense is going to look like under Wink Martindale if he stays here in New York. What is his offense going to look like under another year under Brian Dable and Mike Kafka's system if Mike Kafka stays in New York? So for me, I'm very excited. I'm confident, knowing and hoping, that Evan Neal can take that step forward this offseason. Get with Andrew Thomas, get with some of the best tackles in the league, hit up Andrew Whitworth if you have to, just we got to get this fixed. We have to get this fixed. Evan Neal, he's a smart player. Look, he played at Bama, one of, if not the best college organization that you can play for, in my opinion. And I mean, he was stout there. He dominated in his division. And I believe that Evan Neal will dominate in the NFL. It's just going to take him a little bit of time. Now, you could look at Saquon Barkley. You could look at Daniel Jones. And obviously, people are going to talk about should they bring him back? You had people that were just already throwing Daniel Jones under the bus after this Eagles loss, like he wasn't the reason why we were in the playoffs. Like he wasn't the reason why that we won that playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings in their home stadium. Like he wasn't the reason why that we saw this offense come alive. So for me personally, those two players alone, as well as Dexter Lawrence, absolutely deserve to come back. And I believe that Joe Shane will get that done. Now, in my honest opinion, there's going to be some tough decisions being made. There are going to be some tough decisions that have to be made this offseason. And if it's for the better of the team, I'm not going to have a problem with it. But we really do have key positions of need that we have to address. And if we're going to take that next step as a team, as an organization, we have to put full trust in Joe Shane. There was definitely things, this season that I didn't agree with from the coaching staff. You could look at the Adoree Jackson situation. You could look at that Philly game. Instead of taking three, you go for it on 4th and 7 on your first drive, and you give Philly good field position. You look at different instances throughout the season where you're kind of scratching your head and saying, what's going on here? Why are we coming off to a slow start? You look at some players that, that we picked up that didn't really pan out, and for it being their first season as a coaching staff, Joe Shane, it being his first season as a GM, despite all of that, I have to give them a lot of credit. And again, I feel like you have to be confident going forward in the New York Giants. Now, in my honest opinion, this team, I believe, is closer than what people think they are. I do believe that with another year, this team can really, really take a step forward that we honestly, thought was going to be, playing against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, in my honest opinion, I still do think that even if we address the positions of need next year, we still may be a year shy away. But right now, this team has playoff experience, and that matters. This team knows what it took to get to that point. This team knows what it takes to win in this league and establish a winning culture. And the good thing is that a lot of the players that are coming back have that experience. And a lot of the players that we hope are coming back to keep this key core roster together, have that experience now of what it takes to get to the playoffs in the NFL. And that's only going to help your team in establishing a winning culture and establishing a standard in the New York Giants. Because for the last decade, we have been the laughing stock of the NFL. And now that narrative has changed. When people think of the New York Giants now, they are going to think of a tough, grimy, competitive team that will take you to the end. And even if they may lose that game, they are going to take you to the final minute, the final second. So I'm very happy with this team. There were some instances throughout this season that, I was a little disappointed, but I was very happy. I was very happy with how this season went. It felt really good. I've been doing YouTube for quite some time now, and at this point, being able to have a season like this as a content creator, it feels incredible because you look at previous seasons and week in and week out, it was misery. Having to come on here, tell you guys my thoughts on the game, and just reliving that pain, and this season was just full of just fun, joy, just great games all through and through. I'm never gonna forget, the Baltimore game. I'm never gonna forget that 2-point conversion against Tennessee. I'm not gonna forget that upset in London against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Kayvon Thibodeau's strip sack on Taylor Heineke on prime time. There's so many so many games that I'm really gonna remember for quite some time. That I believe that if the Giants do make it far within the next year or two, we can go back to this season and say this is when it started. And I'm just very happy. And before I even say anything else, I have to say thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us through this season and just week in and week out coming to the channel. If you're new, if you're not new, joining the Hit Squad, interacting with us, it really does mean a lot. Now, we have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that we're going to be working on this off season to bring to you guys that I really do think that you guys are going to enjoy. And I'm just very, very grateful for every single one of you. I would have never thought I crossed 500 subscribers. This year, we are going to make it to 1,000. I'm putting it on record. We are going to make it to 1,000 subscribers, and it's because of every single one of you. So just wanted to say thank you guys so much. I wanted to come on here, give you guys my thoughts on how I'm feeling. Had to take a day or two to really just cool off from this Philly loss, but with the loss of Dallas, it definitely did help. So, gotta really just be grateful for this season. Didn't end how we wanted it to, but it was a lot more than a lot of people expected. And I'm just very excited for this team going forward. But let me know your thoughts below. How did you guys feel about this season? What were some of your takeaways from this season? What were some of your cons from this season? I really want to hear what you guys have to say because this team, we're headed in the right direction, guys. We're headed in the right direction, and I have full confidence in this coaching staff and Joe Shane. But let me know your thoughts below. We'll see you guys on the next video.